What is up, Force fam? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be checking out the new leader, Major Vonreg, which I'm honestly not even sure who that is, paired with ECL. Uh, this is another super aggressive deck. This format is just like across the board. I mean, with this is another leader that deploys on the 4 resource turn, and I mean it's really good. I think this might be finally where villainy ECL really finds a place in the meta. But before we get into today's video, please make sure to join my Patreon and check out all the great content we have on there. The link is below, and please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button as it helps the channel to grow. And of course, make sure to sign up for the 3,500 subscriber giveaway to have a chance at winning one of the 3 Millennium Falcons that I will be giving away. So to get into this list, I'm not going to do any gameplay today like I normally do, just because it's not quite there yet on Karabast and even Force Table. But I did want to talk about this leader because I do think this leader is legit, just from testing it on Force Table a little bit and just kind of getting a feel for what kind of things you can pull off. So the ability to play a vehicle unit from your hand. If you do, give another unit +1/+0. So obviously we're playing a lot of vehicles. There's an argument that we could even play more vehicles than we are, but I kind of wanted to start off balanced and kind of go from there. I always like to start off balanced to see how it feels against a multitude of things before I decide to shift in one way or the other. But I like where it's at right now. It feels very versatile. It feels like it can handle a lot of different things with the ECL factor, of course. So we're playing a lot of really like cheap units to just be able to flood the board and then try to benefit from those abilities. And of course, we're playing a lot of these new units that just allow us to do different things at different times, like play a ground unit or pilot. It's just so much fun playing these cards. So just playing the one drop that we're playing is on turn 1 for the ground is the 3 Death Star Stormtrooper. I still think that's just a really good way to trade favorably on the ground with anything that our opponent tries to do. If they try to go ground heavy, we can just slow them down a little bit there. We actually have a decent amount of early ground interaction. Like the Death Star Stormtrooper is good because we can squeeze that in. It's also great for Vader later on if we're playing in more of a mid-range or control opponent. Then we have on the ground, we have the Wingman Victor 2, which is a 3/2, so another 3-powered unit that we can play on turn 1. We can also pilot that unit, which gives us a TIE Fighter token, which is really nice because it has synergy with First Order TIE Fighter, as well as our Victor leader in space to have multiple space units out there. Just a really good card. And then as far as turn 1 space plays, we could play First Order TIE Fighter, TIE LN Fighter, or Kylo's TIE Silencer all up in space. And of course we can pair one of those 1-drops with the Stormtrooper so that we can be on the ground and in space against our opponent to get in for a lot of pressure, or we could even pair one of those with Daring Raid, which is another card that we're using to push damage. We have the 3rd copy in the sideboard. 2 Force Choke in the main. Again, that's just to be a little more balanced, to be able to handle things that might be difficult for us to deal with. I think there's just 2 so far. I mean, again, the sideboard this is just a rough draft at this point. I do like Consortium Star Viper in here just because we can pump it up so easily, and just having that random card in here that can give us a Restore 2 effect if we have the initiative feels really nice. And pumping it up with Major Vonreg is really cool as the pilot because we can do that on curve. And same thing goes for disabling Fang Fighter. Like it's a way to defeat an upgrade and then pilot it on curve with Major Vonreg. So there might be an argument that either one of those cards needs to be pumped up to 3 each and possibly take out the punishing one. But I do like the punishing one because there is a lot of upgrades that are going to be played this set, and that might need to be a 3rd copy to benefit from its ability to activate again when we do kill an opponent that was upgraded. All 3 of them have their use cases, so I like playing 2 of each. And again, each of them are good targets for Major Vonreg on curve, as well as the Victor leader, which if we're able to get First Order and a TIE Fighter out on turn 1, that's obviously a good card just to help us to get even more pressure, especially because we can use Major Von Richt's action ability when we play that card on turn 2 to just get in for even more additional damage. We would get in for 7 damage if we had both of those out there, which is really sweet because of the pump +1/+1. Obviously, that works well with creating the TIE Fighter with the Wingman, and just in general, just the Victor Leader's strong in here for pumping up our space units, especially if we're playing upgrades on the units that have already been +1/+1. So that's really nice. And then one of the new cards is Von Richt's TIE Interceptor, which obviously makes a ton of sense in here as a great target for Major Von Richt as a pilot, because then it becomes a 6/7 and gets raid 1, so it's a 7/7 on curve, which is insane for a leader to be able to do. And it also will have Overwhelm, so that's one of our best targets for Major Von Richt in the deck. And that just, I mean, if you're able to pull that off, and especially because think about it, on your 4 resource turn, you're deploying Major Von Richt as a pilot for free, right? So you're making a 7/7 on your TIE Interceptor for free, and then you can do things like play one of your Wingman to upgrade it, another space unit, like for example the Wingman Victor 3, which is also a solid ground unit as a 4/3, but I can pilot it for 1, and I can give an experience token to another unit, which can be my Von Richt TIE Interceptor, to make it a 8/8. And let's say we put the other +1/+1 on a Kylo's TIE Silencer from turn 1, right? So we have a 4/3 and an 8/8 in space, which is just insane. 2 open fires is just kind of like a piece of removal that we might want to have occasionally to deal 4 damage. 3 Dengars, actually, because it's a really good ECL target on your 3rd turn. So we can ECL Dengar to take out Sabine, for example, and then play Major Von Richt as a pilot or as a ground unit. Darth Maul, I'm not sure if we need 3, but I do like at least a couple because it is a very good ECL target as well. To be able to do 5 damage to do 2 different units on the ground. It's just a great defensive unit in case we do get a little bit behind. Overwhelming Barrage, of course, is just a given in these colors because it's just very, very strong. And I mean, imagine on curve, you have your 7/7 or 8/8 Von Right's TIE Interceptor, and then you play Overwhelming Barrage, and you're doing 9 to 10 damage to your opponent's units, which is just crazy. Darth Vader, of course, is also amazing. For 6 resources, we have a 7/7 that we can ECL in, and then obviously we have its pilot ability for 3 cost, which is on attack you may deal 1 damage to a unit, and if that unit is defeated, you may deal 1 damage to a unit or base. So it just gives us another way to push damage, and +3/+3, which is nice. So just a lot of really, really fun stuff in here. A couple Ruthless Raider in the main, one in the side for more, mid-range control matchups to kind of close things out. Another decent ECL target to do 6 damage on attack. If we're able to do the 2 damage when played to a space unit, of course. And then 2 Darth Vader in the main, 1 in the side for the more mid-range and control matchups as well. And of course, we can get just about everything in here except for a Consortium and disabling Fang Fighter. But because we are so aggressive, I don't think you need 3 in the main board. I think it's still nice to have 2 in the side because it is really good in those mid-range and control matchups in case we haven't closed the game out yet or we're playing against restore heavy decks. But this is just another one that feels good. The sideboard, of course, is a rough draft at this point. I mean, that's really going to vary, depend on how things shape up. But I did like the idea of like Traitorous types effects. So I have 2 Traitorous and the new Starship Thief. I think Traitorous gets better because of all the upgrades on cheap units, just to be able to steal those units. I think that's going to be pretty relevant. The 3rd copy of Daring Ray, just to continue to push damage more against control. The 3rd copy of Consortium for that life gain. Like I said, Consortium feels better in here because we can put the Major Von Richt upgrade on there. 3rd copy of Disabling Fang Fighter, which I definitely think is just going to be super important. 2 copies of Planetary Bombardment against more mid-range and control is my thinking there, just to kind of push that damage. The 3rd copy of Ruthless Raider and Darth Vader's as well from those same matchups, those mid-range control matchups. But sideboard, of course, is just a rough draft, but this is kind of where this list is at right now. But I just wanted to talk about this deck really fast because I do think this is going to be a great aggro deck as well. I'm sure there's going to be some more adjustments and modifications that are made to this list as we continue to get into set 4, but this is just another really fun deck and extremely aggressive. You can just run your opponents over if your units go untouched. And remember, like, you cannot waylay a major Von Reg attached to a Von Reg's TIE Interceptor. So that is just incredibly strong, powerful space unit on curve. It has good stats as a 3/4, and then it gets a 3/3, so it becomes a 6/7 with Raid 1 and Overwhelm. So I mean, that's just really, really strong. That's very strong on curve if you're able to hit that. I mean, Victor Leader, the pump ups from the wingmen, the just ability to put a lot of pressure, having ECL in here, it just feels like a lot of fun. So definitely one you should check out. As soon as this one's up on Carabas, it'll be definitely one that I start messing around with. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video on that. I didn't have a time to do a full like 30-40 minute video this week as I'm extremely busy with work. But as always, y'all have a good one. Let me know what you've been doing with Major Von Reg. If you've been messing around with ECL or with Yellow. Yellow I started to mess around with, but have not quite finished that one. There's a lot more tweaking to do with that one, I would say. Just, using triple dark raids and surprise strikes and getting the right number of spaceships and all that, and deciding if I want to just go full space in that particular version. But I do think that that's going to be a good version as well too. Just crazy that we can deploy this on 4 resources as a pilot too, for free, and make it's just crazy. But y'all have a good one, and peace out.